Tim, we did it. Trying to give the fans what they're looking for. We went back and forth on this. Even what to call this show. You know, do you keep it the Mike Goolsby show for continuity purposes? I threw out, do we call it, Goolsby and Hyde talking ball? But nevertheless, week 2 into the season, we're doing it. So, Tim, you've got a lot of thoughts. You're already spinning before we go live. But here's the way this is going to be formatted tonight. So Tim and I are going to get into our things. We've got 3 or 4 topics we want to cover. Absolutely going to allow for super chats, but we're going to try to keep those kind of holstered till the end of the show, last maybe 10, 15 minutes. So if you drop a super chat and it doesn't pop up on the screen, don't get frustrated. We've got John working behind the scenes, producing this show. He'll bring it up there at the end. Tim, I just rewatched the game for the second time. How the hell did we lose that game, brother?
It's been, it's 3 straight games, right? You got 3 straight games. Freeman and company have lost to ranked teams. So after, obviously, the Great Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl, the hype was there. Everyone's fired up, excited. You head into 2025, and then you just piss it away. And we could sit here and talk about, we're a couple plays away, this and that from being 2-0. Hell yeah, of course we know that, but especially a CJ Carr, man. We'll dive into that, but just a quick brief. You got this young guy, Denbrock, trying to figure out the world with him. What can he do? What can he not do? O-line, running backs, get the ball. This guy. At the end of the day, the dude takes him down the field, ties it against Miami, takes the lead against A&M. Basically at the end of the game, and then D just pisses it away 2 weeks in a row. So that's a killer, especially coming off the season that they had last year. But we're going to talk, about a handful of things because we know what's out there. We know what people are excited about, pissed off about. Don't take rocket science to figure this out. So let's dive into some of these areas tonight.
So obviously, Chris Ash has drawn the ire of every Notre Dame fan. Myself included. John and I love to talk about the nuance of these things. Let's be more specific, Tim. And obviously, we're going to be promoting Patreon. Maybe make it a drinking game. Every time we say the word Patreon, have a sip, right? It's fair. But we do all of the film, right? So Tim's going to do every single snap. He'll do third down defense cut-ups. Jared's going to be doing the offensive game. So the reason being behind all that is to give folks like some answers, maybe help you sleep a little bit better at night. But prior to getting into the film, what's the issue? On third down, it's passing defense specific this year. You can juxtapose it against Al Golden's scheme last year where he's fully willing to risk it for the brisket, bring 5, bring 6, man pressure. Chris Ash, introductory press conference. This is Notre Dame's defense. I'm just here to enhance it, blah, 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 blah. As the saying goes, Tim, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And somehow this guy has broken it.
Man, Mike, and that's obviously as a coach and someone who's watched a ton of football, coached a lot of football, billion games I've been a part of, 1,000 Notre Dame games I've watched over the years. You're right. It's like, what the hell? So they blitz 6, they give up a completion. You blitz nobody, they give up a completion. Corner blitz, drop into cover 3 or your old school zone dog, they give up a deep crossing route. It's been maddening all over the place. They've been beaten in straight man as well. So that's everyone thinks it's just they're playing 98% zone defense. Hell no, it's a lot of man as well. The Strowman touchdown is freaking his eyes are in the backfield. Take your guy, and bam, they're running a boot, and the backer's taking the tight end on the crosser. Strowman's supposed to take the motion guy. Doesn't take them. They go, 80 yards, wherever the hell it is, 86 yards or something. So that's just one example. There's so many. It's 3rd and 12, and you and I were talking about this earlier today. There's no feel. It's just like it feels like guys are just doing whatever the hell's on the whiteboard. There's no feel for anything. There's no instinct.
No instinct.
No, Christian Gray's like, dude, You could be the national player of the week this week. He had a legit shot at like 3 interceptions. It's like Schuler last week against Miami 2 weeks ago. It's like, have a feel and get the freaking football. So that's been a big thing. Last year, obviously, number 1 in turnover margin. This year, it's just not there. And then at the same time, we'll hear this term a lot on Twitter. And then when we talk, and, like a perfect example, last week I did third down D. I did just straight, pressures. I did obviously every snap, first half, second half on D, and you break down all these situations, but there's just no havoc. There's no hell raisers right now on this defense. I mean, legitimately, the best hell raisers, Heinisch against A&M, I thought played his ass off. Traore, Miami, and then KVA. I'm going to say it, until the cows come home. The dude looks like a Butkus Award finalist style of linebacker. Play his ass. End of story.
So a couple things to walk this back. So it's just one of these football tropes, Tim, right? It was a poorly coached team.
Yeah.
And, you've been a coach for 29, 30 years. I want to get into like what that actually means, right? Because it's just kind of a throwaway comment. They're poorly coached.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the lack of feel, the lack of, I guess effort isn't the right term, but the lack of like certitude in terms of like, what the hell are we doing out here? Lack of confidence, bad eyes, Tim, like the safety play. I mean, you've gotten Tay Johnson's a young player, but I mean, yeah, he's playing at like linebacker depth half the time, not half the time, but on a few important snaps, or just bad eyes. In the defense in general, I mean, I can't tell you how many ex-players have started to text me. You've got like an email thing kind of going.
Yep.
And it's like people hate this defense. And Tim, the whole thing feels like nothing. It just feels like a turd. You know what I mean? But get into like, what does poorly coached mean to you as a longtime, career coach?
Communication, it's funny. There's an old saying, I mean, I learned defense, believe it or not, from like Bob Davie when he was at A&M. And then when I was a young coach, he goes to Notre Dame and he's your head coach. The Florida State guys back in the heydays when their defense was just wrecking havoc in the 90s. Nebraska with the great Charlie McBride as the DC was just, these are some of those great defenses in that era when I got.
And then these are clinics. And then again, we've never gotten into this, but this is you going to a clinic.
Yeah. Just studying back then. Shit, I used to study. You put the old VHS in the record, and you would record a game and watch it and break it down in the off season. And it's funny. I remember Chuck Amato, the old D-line coach, NC State head coach, but he was long time Bobby Bowden coach. I was at a clinic in Orange County, and he always talked about when you put the film on, you're like, that's a defense. And what he meant, and he broke down, was 11 dudes just playing with utmost confidence, their ass on fire, just relentlessness, excitement, communicate to my buddies. Your O2 defense, for as much as we hear about zone, you guys played man twice that year. It's like you guys lived in zone, as you know. So zone D works. But with these guys, it's just a feel, man. It really is. And that's what's so maddening. We could bitch and complain about Chris Ash and all this, but it's like, Freeman, what did you do when Al Golden decided? I'm going to throw this out right now. It's like, when you decided Al Golden's leaving, why was the zone coverage this theme? And let's be honest, it was a theme spread out to the media to talk about the zone coverage, and this is our new nuance. We got to work on this. They didn't have to say a freaking thing, and no one would have freaking known, but they made it an issue. And I don't understand why Freeman's just like, oh, let's change things in year freaking 4. I don't understand.
Now, I'll tell you, so they do a thing. The football program does a thing, a state of the program. Very cool. Coach Freeman does not have to do it, but it's very cool where maybe it's once a quarter, twice a year. Just imagine a huge Zoom call, Skype call, whatever, where there's, like postage stamps, hundreds of players, ex-players on there. Freeman talks for 10, 15 minutes, and you could just open forum. You can ask him questions, right? You don't even have to spend $5 for a super chat. And I asked him This is before the season. What do we expect from Ash's D in terms of schematic changes? And the first words out of his mouth, Tim, were, hey, listen, if you can play man, you're going to play man. So, but what we're seeing isn't exactly that, right? So it's just kind of frustrating. But yeah, the lack of feel for it, the bad eyes. And in this game, and again, in this game, and I think you and I both feel the same way, and we want to get into the decision-making to hire Ash, et cetera, right? Especially with Freeman with his defensive background. This has to be talked about.
Yeah.
But on this game, put it on Ash all you want, rightfully so. But Christian Gray, and I defended the hell out of him. If anybody remembers all last season, I mean, he was a great player for us. He had some frustrating moments for sure. Got hung out on an island in the national championship game, playing the best player in the country in Jeremiah Smith. But Christian Gray was awful this game.
What?
Awful in terms of lack of feel. He was disengaged the whole game. It's like his mind was like his girlfriend broke up with him the night before or something. He wasn't there. He wasn't there.
Well, I mean, hell, you get a face mask. Face mask penalty or rips the freaking helmet off. Dude, you're 25 yards away from the play. He's the corner way out there, and they're hammering the ball inside. You're not even involved. So get your ass out of there. And I mean, why in the hell would you grab someone?
It's frustration.
When it's the freaking
because he got his ass blocked. I mean, he got stalk blocked.
Well, no, I'm talking about the PI, the defensive holding. It's like, dude, just situational awareness. This just goes back to just coaching and listening to great coaches out. Situational awareness. Know the situation. Hey, I don't have to grab him. The quarterback's running around. He ain't gonna throw across his body, and as he's grabbing that guy, all of a sudden it's fourth and long. But nope, you give him another whole reset of downs on it. I will say is fans love to say, well, they didn't play hard. Dude, these guys are playing hard as hell. It is noticeable on film. They are running their asses off. They are flying around like crazy, just not making any plays. But I feel like they're running around after the fact. You know what I mean, Mike? Where you're unsure at times what to do. And your perfect example of Tay Johnson was of just freakish athlete. I mean, he reminds me of the 8,000 text messages you and I had about Xavier Watts in 2022, where we're like, dude, it is noticeable the athleticism. Play Watts. With Johnson, I already feel the same thing. Play his ass. Get him out there. He is super, super talented.
And the thing is, and he's trying to make plays.
But I was going to say, there's a cover 3 where they run the running back on the seam. It's a drop down cover 3, and he's playing. He's 2 yards deep. He's almost at the D line depth because it's the feel. He never played. He's the robber because the other safety's deep. He's the robber in that instance, as you know. And then Hobbs is the flat defender, and the running back pops out of the backfield. He splits both of them. There's the dump pass all the way down to the end zone as they, next play, 2 plays later, they get a touchdown. So that's an example of feel. Real quick on Christian Gray. They hit they're in cover 3, and he's right there. That's the one he hurts his shoulder and he's out of play. He's right there, man. Just have a feel and go get the damn football.
And this is something else, too, that we'll really get into on the film, on Patreon. And this week, I'll actually get to do it with you. We got all the technical stuff figured out. Super stoked to do that. But something, as a trainer of high school kids and you as a coach, it's like, especially high school kids, it's like, please just learn to get comfortable with taking your eyes off the dang quarterback. Yeah. So as you're dropping, dude, look for work. Like, take your eyes off the quarterback and start reading routes. And this is basic stuff. Because most high school kids, they just drop, they get, linebacker, they get 4 yards of depth and just stare at the quarterback. It's like, you can get 4 yards of depth, but if you look, it's like you're going to knock that kid out. He's running a dig route or whatever. Just get your eyes off the quarterback. The eyes in terms of the pass in the secondary, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. The lack of overall feel. And then, Tim, let's talk about pass rush, right? Swing and a miss on my part, right? You took me to task many times over this. I was optimistic about the defensive line, and shame on me. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Traore in a 2-point stance. We both hate that. Let's talk about the spacing. You've got Traore in just an outside shade. And it's like, if you're going to go 2-point, get into a 7, get into a 7.5, 8, 9, right? Give yourself an angle to work.
And he's
the get-offs, Tim. They're running so many games. Jalen Sneed gets up there and he's juking like a wide receiver. It's like there's no verticality even when they're running games. Like they're dancing versus like accelerate.
Well, they did that at Traore. It's like, and I'm going to dive into it. I'm going to make a Traore specific film this week, because last week I talked a lot about, when I was talking about him on film, like he's going to play in the NFL. His talent's there. It's obvious. And he's going against the Miami tackle, who's going to be a first-round draft pick. And the battle those two guys had, that's NFL on NFL. I was beyond excited to watch in this game. He had the one rush, like I think on the first drive. After that, he was like a spinning top. He kept trying to do these spin moves, and the right tackle was just blocking him. And I thought that was an average right tackle, but he blocked Traore all night long. And that was really, really frustrating. And there's just not a consistent, you're right, an outside edge presence. Burnham and Junior are solid against the run, but they're not turning the hips. They're just not. And Bryce Young, we've been told how elite he is, the amazing camp he had. I've never seen him really turn the hips on a consistent basis. And once he learns to, get a little oil on those hip bones and turn, he's going to be outstanding. He just hasn't done it yet. And that's the frustrating thing of just getting him to turn the hips. Hell, he didn't even start this game. They started Botello, who is, that's a story unto itself, the fact that he's even playing after that injury. But Jordan's out there busting his ass. But Jordan's a bull rusher. Jordan's never been an edge, I'm going to heat you off the edge type of guy. Traore is the only one as of right now in that base 4-man front that could do it.
But I think there's there's coachable things here where you're going back to even Traore, where like he's trying to work this inside spin. You can't work that down the center of the man, right? It's like if you're working his outside edge, that gives you, but it's like I can't spin if the guy is directly in front of me, right? So there's coachable stuff there. And Bryce.
Well, how about this real quick off of that? You got me thinking you can't also spin against a guy that size. He's freaking huge. You can spin against Notre Dame tackles because they weigh 299 pounds.
They're narrower, yeah.
Large dudes out there, space eaters at offensive tackle. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. I go back to like Jalen Sneed. I tweeted last night, and this isn't a knock on Jalen, but he's so explosive and he's one of the bigger hitters, he's like a Drake Bowen level, explosive, snappy player. And he's just disappearing, man. And it's just like, okay, back to the field thing. I don't know if he's ever going to play inside linebacker. Maybe he'll be a Marist guy down the road. He'll continue to develop. And I think Coach Bull has said as much, his best football is ahead of him. But even just like for him, it's just, if we're going to rush Jalen Sneed, situationally, this stuff drives me insane, Tim. It drives me insane. We're looping him so we're going to run him into a guard. We're going to run our 230-pound explosive 4'4" athlete into a guard versus let him work, verticality up the field. And then, like I said, the situational stuff, Drake Bowen had a nice game, better game than he did against Miami. Obviously showed up, super physical kid. The kid's built like he's just made of lead. He's so dense when he on impact. We call a timeout at the end of the game there, and then smartly by A&M, they get Drake out of position, out of his comfort zone, and then he winds up in man coverage. And it's like KVA's not even on the damn field. Stuff like that, I want to believe it's correctable, and it's like we can't be the only people that see it. It just bugs you.
And here we are, fan and ex-captain yapping away, and it's like Sneed. You and I have talked about Sneed the last few years. It's like just let him pass rush. Micah Parsons is not a big dude. Pass rush. Just let him. I've never understood why they have to play him at will linebacker. Never understood that. Unless Sneed's like, I want to play linebacker. Okay, but his skill set is rush. The dude hits like hell. He's been active. Like Golden, the plays that Snead really made last year were just always him, just these crazy blitzes, and he would leak open. Even if he does, how many times have we seen him not get a sack, but he's like long and just so explosive, he just flashes and a quarterback freaks out. And you see number 3 is involved. Hell, the Drew Allar interception was Snead causing havoc on that pick.
Oh yeah,
he got. That's what Snead is. He's not an in the box. I'm going to read guards, fill B gaps. Hell no. The dude needs to just be on the field and rush. And that goes back to some of the personnel issues I'm going to dive in like crazy that I did a ton of against Miami, was just specific who's on the field in these third down situations. And sometimes it really feels like no one really gives a damn. And it sucks to say, but it's almost like, all right, your turn to play, go play. Well, get your best dudes out there. I mean, there's times where
Tim, I gotta stop you
real quick against Miami. Snead, I'm breaking down like 15 third downs. I didn't see Jalen Snead till like play 13. It's like, where are you the other 12? So that was just an example of situational, get some dudes out there on the field.
When you're saying like nobody gives a damn, you're saying like the rotation, and I want to talk about rotation specifically like at safety. And we'll get there, but are we rotating too many guys, and that lends itself to a lack of overall feel, rhythm, etc.? But when you're saying nobody gives a damn, the rotation is just willy-nilly, or it's like, hey, this is our NASCAR pass rush package. You know what I'm saying? Like where it's
and watching film, it's almost like perfect example. That's exactly it. Okay, this is our NASCAR, but you're on the field so you can play in the NASCAR in this section. Hell no, dude. How many times you've been a part of it where you're just like NASCAR, and that unit is on the field no matter what. Doesn't matter if you played 13 straight snaps, you're in freaking NASCAR. And it's like Notre Dame has elite athletes. They train. We get all that crap. They're in shape. They're running. They're hitting. They are freaking really, really athletic as hell. But there's sometimes it's okay to play more than 4 snaps in a row. You know what I mean? You're right. It constantly feels like a rotation, like it's a hockey game. Like, well, we got to play these 4 guys to keep them happy, or we got to make sure we're constantly rotating guys to keep guys involved. I think that's a Freeman core philosophy. He talks about that, the whole team and the family and all that, which is true. It doesn't matter if you're only playing 15 guys on D, but he loves playing 25, 26 guys on D. That's been a Freeman thing. And it's just frustrating sometimes when you see it's 3rd and 8 and you're like, Boubacar Traore's not on the field. That's the one NFL pass rusher you have.
Yeah, and it's going back to like high school football, right, Tim? You'd have your goal line Jumanji package at Joliet Catholic. We had Jumanji, right? You put your defensive tackle at fullback, right? Creating that NASCAR group or whatever, it creates a sense of pride. It actually gets you a little bit excited as a player. It's like, hell yeah, here we go, NASCAR, whatever is the case. But yeah, I think there's, to your point, and again, so many times I end up sounding like a has-been, washed up, talking about stuff from 20 years ago. But like, yeah, we played USC, dude, 97 snaps on defense. We didn't rotate. Maybe, it's just like, it's absolutely a thing. You can do it. You can absolutely do it.
Well, it's, and I'm going to go here. I mean, there's some, these numbers, and I just love these numbers going back to what you said, or it's not, not broke, don't fix it. Mike, they were number 1 in passer rating on defense in 2023 and 2024. Number 1 in the country. Number 1 in the freaking country. The previous years, Al Golden's first year, he was number 41. So goes from 41 to 21. They're in the top 25 the previous few years. Clark Lee had him in the top 10 in 18 and 19. So, Mike, they're 103rd right now. 103rd. They went from number 1 to 103. And they're not playing stiffs out there. I mean, these are that's what kills me. You watch them. Stroman's athletic. Johnson's athletic. These dudes are athletic. There's no slow there. I don't see a lot of slow pokes out there. And what the hell is this? Mike, all the guys in the chat who've been Notre Dame fans forever. 2016, 4-8. I don't even want to mention it, but hell I am. They were number 79. Okay. The worst team in ages in 2016 finished 79th in QB rating on defense. Notre Dame's 103rd right now, 103rd right now. That is just that's insane. And I want to talk real quick as a coach, because this is so important. Freeman made this an emphasis. He did. So what the hell is being taught in the classroom? It is all about communication. So when you look at DBs or linebackers DBs do check, exactly. They check, they make adjustments. We see it all the time. Carr's doing it on offense with audibles. People adjust. But there are times when they're like, shit, I don't know what to do. It looks like that on the field.
The play is almost over, and you've got DBs doing this.
But that's what I'm killing. I mean, as a player, you have meetings, you have film review. All you do is practicing your shit against that team. You have practice. You have 7-on-7. Thursday and Fridays are, meltdown modes. We relax a little bit. Fridays review. You play a night game nowadays at Notre Dame. They are waking up. They're having breakfast. They're getting their, T-shirt and shorts on. They're going to the local high school, and they walk through every damn thing on earth for 90 minutes. They're just walking through everything. They get back to the stadium. They have another meeting. It's nothing but a billion of these. And then you go out there on Saturday and you're like, shit, I don't know what I'm doing now against this motion. So something's not clicking from that Monday film review meeting to that Saturday walkthrough to that Saturday night. And that's what we've seen the last, these first two games.
And we haven't mentioned it yet, but this game in particular, you had 2 weeks to prepare and get yourself dialed in. But I just had like a little bit of a vision of last year's defense, and God, do we miss Xavier Watts, right? It's unbelievable. But think about some of those high tension games where, we're playing man, we're bringing the house, and like we would make, it's one safety, they're going to yo-yo coverage. One safety comes down, the other one drops back. Like we would get lined up at the very last minute, and you could feel like the defense was a rubber band just ready to snap, right? Like you could feel the confidence. It was like you could pop it with a balloon, and now you don't have that same sense of energy.
Everything you just said, that's the Stroman play. They rocking and rolling right now. They're rocking and rolling. Hobbs is down there the way the formation was. Hobbs is like, you got him. He rocks through the middle of the third. Stroman runs down. You can see it. Everyone's doing their coverages. The linebacker takes the tight end as he's running the boot to the flat. It's done perfectly. But Stroman's just staring in the backfield. But
dude, Stroman,
go ahead.
We take bad, in terms of
angles.
And this game could have been worse. There was an early
Christian Gray's beat twice.
The quarterback threw the ball like a banana route, and he should have thrown it, to the flag, right? It was a bad ball by the cornerback, or quarterback rather. But Stroman takes weird angles, Tim, where it's, he's got to track that ball in flight, and he ends up being like 3 yards underneath it or whatever. He's having a weird time dealing with speed. His angles are weird, man.
Let's dive into this for 30 seconds. He didn't practice in the spring, did he?
No.
I mean, exactly. He had a shoulder injury. He's a transfer. He has spent his entire career learning one scheme, learning all that stuff. Comes to Notre Dame. Damn well, you and I have said this for so many freaking times. It gets frustrating. You don't get better unless you play. You could stand behind people. You could listen. You could sit in meeting rooms. You could do all that crap you want. You don't get good at playing football unless you play. Which, as another huge point, is, and we could dive into this another time. We'll see how this season goes. But was the spring just too chill? We hear all the freaking time about choose hard. Well, choose hard to me is you didn't win the last game, so you have yet to choose hard. Damn it, you got to get to that thing. You got to keep kicking ass to get to that final thing. This team should have been highly motivated, pissed off to high hell. Instead, it's like, well, let's just chill. Everyone gets a rest. We're going to make freshmen only spring ball. That's what it felt like on the outside. So how do you get that mojo going?
I love this.
Into the summer when you got to play two ass-kicking football teams that want your ass. Let's be honest. Cristobal played in this rivalry. He wanted this Notre Dame game. This was the Super Bowl. Mike Elko is he's still kicking himself for not running Riley Leonard on 4th down, and he punted it back to Notre Dame, and Hartman takes him 95 yards. So he's an inch away from winning, beating their ass in 23, and then last year it's 13-13, and he loses it. So that celebration, they wanted this. So how, going back to the communication, man, was it too much chalkboard communication and not enough on the field communication?
Let's stay on this little comment here, and I have something to add because we talked about this at length on Patreon the other night, Monday Night Raw, wide open chat, right? And people were asking, "Hey, how do I drop a super chat?" It's like, you don't have to. You paid, you're already here. Ask 1,000 questions. We'll be here all night. But this came up specifically in terms of like player leadership, Tim. Whereas like Emil Wagner is your captain, and he was on the bike all spring. And then you sit there and go, I know you played 1,000 snaps last season. Like, hats off to you. All credits due. You stayed healthy, grinded that son of a bee out. But as a leader, I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit on the sidelines all spring. And then you sit there and you talk about, we had a super healthy camp. Oh, there goes my dog. Oh, Cassius.
No, I'm here. You're healthy in camp. You're healthy in spring. Well, Charles obviously goes off-road, and that's another thing, but that had nothing to do with practice. But you're right. They're healthy. They're ready to roll. And then,
well, how my dog knocked this stupid laptop over. How intense was camp? Because you came out of camp with no injuries, save for Charles Jagus, obviously, and that was off the field related. Yep. But you do challenge, like, okay, how physical, how tuned up were they to go into a game like this?
And that's a crazy thing. Going back to, are there changes in year 4? Because it has been well documented. I mean, Freeman's a freaking middle linebacker that played at Ohio State, okay? So the dude knows how to win. The guy knows how to work. The guy knows how to train. The guy knows how to prepare, and he's a winner. That's all the Buckeyes do is win. They close their eyes, they win. So his practices have been nothing but physical his first 3 years. They get after it. We've heard that nonstop. They get after it. They get after it. He's building that mindset, that physicality. And was it too NFL-ish? As in the training? Is it too?
That's right.
We're going to specialize just your little left hamstring here for the next month. Okay, we're going to just focus on this. And it's like, when Matt Balis is here, he's like, shit, no, man, we're flipping 1,000-pound tires. Let's go. And Notre Dame has, lost these big games. They lost to Ohio State in the fourth quarter, Miami in the fourth quarter, A&M in the fourth quarter.
They lost
3 straight in the fourth quarter.
It's inarguable, and where that level. And again, I was a Mickey Marotti guy.
Oh, God,
Matt Balis is a Mickey Marotti guy, disciple, and obviously Mick is at Ohio State. So it's a balance between protecting your players and being players coach, but then also it's still football, Tim. But Brian NY had a chat a little bit ago.
Okay.
Freeman owns all of this, and I know you wanted to spend a little bit of time in here in terms of you could put it all on Chris Ash if you want, that's fine, but who hired him? And I'll kind of take the lead here. And this, I am stirring the pot here. I'm comfortable saying this. Whereas during Freeman's tenure as a head coach, the ideal setup was that gray hair factor, a gray hair sandwich where you had a gray-haired guy in Denbrock and you had a gray-haired guy in Al Golden, and then he could kind of still learn the ropes as being a head coach and lead with the charisma and the energy and the recruiting and the messaging, all those things that we love so much. And then, by the way, you could kind of lean on your transfer quarterback, right? Your experienced transfer quarterback. And then this year, I think it might have been a miscalculation, whereas Chris Ash could be just the next gray-haired guy up. And it hasn't worked out that way.
No, that's the killer. And that's going back to the gray hairs of, just look at the players they obviously had the last, handful of seasons. Bertrand, a gray hair. Maris was in that program forever. Kaiser, Mills, Watts. So many of these guys that were just ingrained into this, Freeman to Golden, that little era right there where all these guys grew up playing defense. And sure, so-and-so's back and experience and all that, but it just feels like there's no old dudes out there. especially on defense. I mean, Moore's your best player. He's a sophomore. I would say Kingston's the second best freaking player on D. He's a true sophomore. So Traore obviously misses a year. He's really a sophomore, really a freshman. Shit, he only played a couple snaps as a freshman. This is Traore's first true. Obviously he was injured last year, but if he finishes this year, this will be his first full-time finish in a season since his, I think, junior year in high school. So your gray hairs this year are Kurt Heinisch, Rubio, and Anye, who disappeared last year and obviously is back for the reasons he had in his life. But those were all backups. That's why I said, I know you love the D-line, and I was like, man, to me, I thought there were just a bunch of plan B guys. And I hate to say that, but that was my opinion. Bunch of plan B as in backup guys. Now you're thrusted into the thing. I think Heinisch played his ass off against A&M. Rubio has always been a solid player.
Yep.
He doesn't look like an NFL draft type guy because he just doesn't get off blocks and makes plays yet. So, Dawson's solid. He's stout. They just need more 300-pounders. They just keep, mixing and matching with some of these guys. So, and Heinisch.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I was asked the other night on Patreon, how do you get KBA more reps as like an inside linebacker? And I kind of said tongue in cheek, well, it's like, well, he has to become a lesser pass rusher, and that's just he's so good at so many things. It's like, it almost hurts him being able to play like his actual position, which is an off the ball, inside linebacker. But you were talking about 300-pounders. And it's 2 weeks in a row, Tim, where like Traore looks smaller than I thought he would.
Yeah.
Like this Elijah Hughes, the USC transfer, I was kind of excited about because he's kind of twitchy, he's a little slippery on film. He looks smaller than I thought he was. Dawson looks smaller than they're smaller than you like. How's that? Whereas like Rubio looks the part, but to your point, he's not really twitched up, right? He's just kind of a lug in the middle,
No, exactly. He's, they're all career backups, especially on the inside. Serviceable. That's why they're rotating and playing as many snaps as you can. But who's that dog, so to speak, who's in the fourth quarter? I'm just going to kick ass and take over. They haven't had that, and that's been the some of the issues with the rotation, just the players in general. But that goes back to hell, man. All I've heard from the recruiting gurus are, well, Notre Dame likes they're particular recruiting this guy, they like the tall, lean guys. Well, tall, lean guys don't help you on the run. So some of these tall, lean guys are not getting the pass rush yet. So that's even going back to the whole Freeman thing. It's like you're recruiting to this model, yet I'm going to change it. Dude, it makes no sense in year 4, all the massive changes. And on top of that, they promoted it. The fact that they went and talked about this to the press was always weird.
So you're saying, they recruited a certain archetype, almost like these hybrid linebacker safety.
Tay Johnson's a runner. Tay Johnson's a man guy. The dude could run. I'm going to man your ass up. I'm not going to drop in the curl zone and try and, feel a route behind me. There's none of that.
Yeah. He's like that was when you and I first started texting. I was like, this Watts kid is,
oh my God,
violent. He's like, he was a knife, like, he's always slicing in there. So Tim, it begs the question, what do we do? And again, we spent the whole 45 minutes thus far talking defense, right? Go figure. But what do we do to fix this? If you're a coach, you're in that coaches meeting, what do you raise your hand? What are you suggesting?
Well, now you got 2 games of data, and you got to take those 2 games and figure out what are we doing on these key downs. When we're calling zone, what are we allowing the QBs to see? Because obviously they're practicing it, and Beck was well prepared for the zone. He just was, and obviously they had the data, and Marcel Reed and those guys attacked those cover 3 zone beaters in there. So, man, sometimes when you're stuck, you got to take a deep breath, take a step back, and just be like, what are we good at? Get back to the old saying, get back to fundamentals. But what are our core fundamentals? What's our core principles on D? And if Freeman's like, hell, like he said in his press conference yesterday, we just got to execute better. Okay, then how are you getting that done in the practice field? That's what I don't understand, is how are you getting it done on the practice field? Because the zone right now in the 2 games, man's killed them just as bad. But, man, some of these softness where guys are just catching and running for a first down is absolutely destroying these guys. So, or do you just be like, man, we got more runners. I don't mind calling zone, but let's call 10% less zone. So, and the blitzes, Mike, they're boring right now, right? They did a Leonard Moore one. They brought Schuler one time. He just whiffs on Reed down in the hole, just absolute ankle bites, doesn't do anything. Outside of that, there was no DB blitzes in this game outside of those 2. It's still the same old Mike Will. We're gonna run these guys different angles. So they got to bring some chaos somehow, some way. Go back and watch some old 2023 film when Golden's going nuts and find a couple ones that work and could cause some havoc.
But can you sit there and just say, hey, I mean, we've got the tape of Coach Golden from the last few years. Your base of players is got to be vaguely familiar. They didn't forget everything. Oh. How does Freeman step in? Does Freeman step in and say, hey, Coach, I appreciate these ideas that you've brought, to the program, but we're going to go back to what we know worked, what got us to the national championship? I mean, that's how fans are thinking. Is that realistic?
That's what kills me when you go on Twitter. I absolutely just love it. I laugh. I'll be honest. Freeman needs to step in. What do you think he's been doing? It's like he is the head freaking coach at the University of Notre Dame. People act like everyone's just free willy and Freeman's just hanging out. Oh, shit, you guys called the blitz? I didn't know that. The dude knows every damn thing that's happening on that field, especially on defense, for Christ's sake. It's like, so he's the Notre Dame head football coach because of one reason and one reason only. He coached defense his whole damn life. And he had a lot of success in 21, and the program was ready to hire him, and Swarbrick hired him. So Freeman is involved in all this stuff. This is not just all this ash shit. Excuse my French, because Freeman is dude. The coordinators, damn well, coordinators meet with the head coaches and they finalize everything. Freeman is finalizing all this stuff and giving it an okay. I always go back to the double safety blitz. He covers 0 against Ohio State, where Golden mentioned it during his press conference the week after. He's like, yeah, I brought it up 2 plays earlier to Freeman, and Freeman's like, run it. So he knew the call. He knew the situation. He told him to run it. So he knows what is going on. And Marcus Freeman, after 3 years, has chosen to change this stuff. He has chosen to change it. And Notre Dame Nation out here wants to know why.
Yeah, it's almost inexplicable. Yeah, we dropped that. That's what Patreon's for.
Oh, yeah. He says I want
plenty of F-bombs dropped tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. I can assure you that.
Oh, believe me, the coaching me, yeah. I mean, especially when I'm watching film, I got my huddle clicker there and I'm clicking away, going crazy. Oh, yeah. There's some watching it, just shaking our heads,
Yeah, so this is one of the things too, and I've taken to saying a lot of times that sometimes fans give coaches too much credit because this. There's a ton of chaotic things that go on during the week or during a halftime. It's not as clinical, it's not as scientific as I think as fans want to believe it is. But there's also stuff like, to what you're saying, what you just said in terms of the shift and the philosophy. You've got the cupboard is stacked full of pasta. We brought in the best pasta from all over the world, Italy, whatever, and now we're going to start making sushi. It's like, what are we doing? It's inexplicable, but it's actually happening.
Before we dive in, obviously we want to mention CJ Carr, first 2 games, but that's sure. And we've heard Freeman says, well, it's Chris Astor's defense and all that. Obviously, he's involved. That's a Freeman thing. He always says that because he wants to give his coordinators love. Well, this is Al Golden's D. But at the same time, he knows what's going on. So to your point, the cupboard, I went grocery shopping earlier today, so I filled that bad boy up ready here for the next couple of weeks. So is the cupboard full? Because Luke Talich, Schuler, they were on the field. They know the calls. Johnson, is new, but he was in all the meetings last year. Moore, Gray, Hobbs were obviously all involved in these meetings. Drake Bowen's been in every single meeting the last couple of years. Kingston was on the field as a true freshman. Osbury's played. Snead's been around for 4 years. The D-line's been around all this time. Whoever the hell else I'm missing. But it's like they all know those calls. So is Robber now a different name? I'm just using that example. Let's just say they called it Robber. So is Robber now, Taco Tuesday? I don't know. So is it called Taco Tuesday? Hey, Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. And someone's like, well, shit, what the hell's Taco Tuesday? Well, that's the old Robber. Well, just call it Robber. Did they change any of this communication? And this is another thing is Mike Mickens has been the DB coach since, the corners since 2020. Obviously, he's taken over the last 2 years. He's still there coaching. His guys are the ones getting torched. He's the one communicating. I know it's all Chris Ash, but no position coach has changed. That was a huge positive Freeman talked about. Chris Ash talked about this. These are great position coaches. But if they've been told to change a couple things, is Mickens having to coach the way he plays man different? And if he is, why the hell is Freeman allowing that? The zone, definitely. They're playing way more zone. I've talked about this in the film review on Patreon. They run some Tampa 2. They did it again this past week, and they're doing it different inserts with the linebackers and safeties on how they're running it. So they have done some NFL concepts when it comes to zone, but those QBs and wide receivers are finding those holes pretty quick.
Yeah. And it's the marriage, and this is football, Texas Mac. Like, yeah, the frustration that you see on the players. And I mean, there was a snap where Carson Hobbs, he's screaming at Christian Gray, right? Christian Gray's in man coverage. They motion to a stack, Tim. And then Christian Gray kind of does whatever he wants. And then Hobbs is reacting off of him versus like, okay, I'm going to line up and take the point man or whatever is the case. But it goes back to like the marriage between playing zone and a pass rush. And if you don't, I'm sorry. This is just one of the 10 commandments of defensive football. Like, if you can't rush the frickin' passer, you can't play zone. Like, it's impossible. You can't do it, right?
It's like watching the NFL. I mean, watching the NFL is that if you sit in zone on 3rd and 9, Mahomes and Allen and all, Burrow, all these, they are going to shred you.
It's easy.
It's so easy for these guys. They just find the spots and they attack. If you can't get there, the great defenses of all time could get there with 4-man rush. The Eagles did it in the Super Bowl last year, where they just annihilated them with the front four. Their great teams could do it, and if you can't, and that's what kills me, because I really want to talk about CJ before we get some of the comments. But Freeman has been on this. Well, we got to rush 4. Why? It's like, why? You're not the 2000 Ravens. You're not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that could sit and they ran Tampa 2 75% of the time because their front 4 is going to kick your butt. So they don't have a front 4 that could do that, which just goes back to another frustrating thing. It's year 4, really year 5, because Freeman was the DC before. Where are all these freaking D-line recruits, man? When are some of these dudes just going to show up, kick ass? We're still playing Brian Kelly recruits. We're still playing transfers. And it's like some of these guys just need to step up, or it's just going to be a constant. That's might be the transfer portal is just filling the D line up because all these guys are signing are just projects and just can't get on the field.
Yeah. Well, you said you wanted to
talk for another show, obviously, so we'll get into that.
Well, yeah, and again, back to the rotation, it's like Armel Mukum, like, he certainly looks the part, Tim, but it's like, he can't sniff the field. It's like, or even a Sevillano, right? You got poor Heinisch getting pushed around. And if Heinisch doesn't get penetration, he gets washed. I mean, there's a clip in this game where, he's at linebacker depth, like from the jump, like he gets just hit at the right angle, the wrong way. And he's living. He is playing linebacker. Like, it still happens, but like, why can't you get a 340-pound Sevillano to play 10 snaps a game? And just all you're doing is just sitting your fat ass in the A gap. Like, it's not a complicated thing, you know?
Yeah, Heinisch, I thought Heinisch, he was the only, in all this data, I was watching the D again earlier, and hell, man, I stayed up till 2 in the morning last night watching it. What freaking glutton for punishment, right? But number 41's the 1D tackle, and they're like actually getting run stuffs, holding them to 3 yards or less. He's actually was doing that. They're just not getting anything in the backfield. That is what's killing them, man. There are no 1st and 10 turns into 2nd and 12. 2nd and 5 is turning into 3rd and 8 off of a TFL. There's been none of that in 2 games. Kingston's the only one that's causing it, and he's coming from a linebacker. So
yeah. Well, you want to talk about, as we want to make our way out of here, you want to talk about Carr, obviously.
Yeah. But just real quick, I saw someone posted about Kingston in the chat. Last week he was at 50%, so at least this week he was over 50% in snaps. So I think someone said he was in for 50 out of 70. So that's at least a positive. But you and I we love talking D, and we'll do a ton of that this week together on Patreon. So it's like there's a lot to dive into and talk about. But let's just be super. I mentioned this earlier about CJ Carr. Man, he takes him down on the road to go tie it against Miami, and then the D gives up, obviously, the field goal. And he goes right down, and takes the lead, basically, to win the football game. And then the defense takes it. So he's got that on his resume now. We've seen a quarterback in his first 2 starts take that ball in big fourth quarter moments and deliver. And I think that's a huge, huge positive moving forward, to where, yeah, he's got a couple stupid mistakes. That's obviously going to happen. But the key in this past game, unlike the first game, was get your 2 damn running backs. I mean, this offense is pretty easy to figure out. They have 2 great running backs, right? I think those guys had like 40, receptions, rushes combined, over 200 yards combined when you look at all the receiving and the rushing, all that. Explosive. They each had touchdowns, all that. Fields is without a doubt the boundary presence. That's the killer, though, man. He drops that touchdown. That game could have been 21-7. Instead, it's a field goal. It's only 17-7. That's a huge mark looking back into the game. But he's a presence into the boundary. Eli Raridan is just too big, too talented. We're obviously seeing his future NFL in front of us. These 2 games continue it. And then what do you do with the other guys? Is it just going to be a constant phase-on, great house, Pauling, just little stop routes, and hopefully those little jitterbugs go get some yards after the catch? That's what it feels like the offense is after 2 games.
And it was interesting on that drop that Fields had running that slant in the end zone.
Yeah.
That was a sight adjust. If you go back, CJ gives him a little hand signal. So that was impressive, just the operation there. Again, just for a young quarterback doing that. So it's just, and John will talk about this in only the way that he can. The way that this season is playing out early anyway, it's the exact opposite of what you expected. Yeah. It's like, well, the rookie quarterback's going to make some boneheaded decisions, but the defense is going to prop them up, the offensive line, the run game. And it's like the opposite, where everybody else is letting CJ down. And the other thing, too, like I'm watching that game last night. CJ plays hard. Faison plays hard. J. Love plays hard. Price plays hard. Jeremiah Love is so talented, Tim.
Completely different. I mean, he looks. I mean, he's an NFL guy. That's obviously Captain Obvious here. He looks not. I mean, these 2 games physically, his mannerisms, his emotional.
Yeah,
the dude is like dialed in. Not that he wasn't last year, but you can feel he has taken a presence upon himself.
1,000%.
Watching him. Of like, I'm going to go help you guys win this football game. So he really, really is night and day compared to last year. But that's the experience. Last year he played really for the first time, and this year he knows he's the guy, but he's acting like he's the guy as well. And that's, I think, a positive moving forward. I'm telling you, these guys are going to break some 80-yarders. He had a shoestring tackle the other day, Price and Love, or they're gone. Miami, if twice against Miami, if Love just bounces outside, he's one-on-one and he's gone. So they're close, and that's what kills me with the offense. They're close, man, with a couple of these things, and that's what's exciting about CJ is because at least Mike Elko, he's a big 9 in the box, meaning safeties are big time run support guys. And CJ hit him with Fields into the boundary.
That's right. It was 3rd and 13, I think.
Exactly. Teams are going to keep doing that because obviously Jeremiah and Price are so damn dynamic. That's why CJ has to trust these wide receivers, and they got to get outside, loosen these guys up a little bit, and take advantage with And CJ's done that. He wasn't really given the opportunity in game 1. He was this week, but that's what's so really, really exciting about him is, man, he already, it's stupid saying he looks the part, but he does in a way. And he's got to make mistakes. I mean, believe me, the whole clap because he's pissed off at himself. Dude, they are so damn lucky that thing wasn't worse right before.
I'd never seen anything like that before.
No. And that's just him being frustrated, thinking that, it's half. He gets pissy. He was it felt like he was pouting a little bit. It's like, dude, no. Get your ass into halftime. And they're so lucky that didn't cost them. The interception, I talked about this on Patreon. You could, the numbers are there, talking about the interception against Miami, but the way it's blocked up, if he hands off the Love, he's gone. He's a walk-in touchdown, and he forces the ball just like this week. Just scramble. Live, once again, understand situational awareness. You have the lead going into halftime. The clock is running. You just picked up a first down after a couple nice passes. Denbrock calls another pass on first down. You don't have to force anything. You have the lead. Just scramble. Who cares? If you get 4 yards, great. The clock's running. A&M's not going to get the ball back. So that's going back to the experience of just constantly learning that experience, and it's only going to elevate his game moving forward.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think and Fields is such a gift for that young quarterback too. I'm very and Fields is another one. His energy or his locked inness or him being dialed in, it's palpable. Like it comes through the screen. Like this is a business trip for Malachi, right? And she's trying to move himself up a couple rounds.
Yep.
And you can feel it. It kind of just pops off through the screen at you. But
before we move on to some of the start things that John has for us, it's like the biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2 is the freaking offensive line. Those guys gave Carr time. Their run blocking was outstanding. Some of the stuffs and some of the runs for 1 or 2 yards, people go back and watch it. It's always it's an unblocked safety because Elko's going to sell out, and they sold out. Denbrock made a great adjustment because I was going to lose my mind if he didn't. Early in the game, he's having, once again, wide receivers trying to block DNs, and those were some of the plays where Love got killed, where the wide receiver whipped on a DN. They got away from that. So that was good coaching and good adjustments on that end.
Okay, yeah. So let's get into the question segment. Try to knock some of these out. Can you get into a pregame? Oh, talk about the pregame tough guy act this team did to A&M and then got their asses kicked all night. We were not a tough team.
See, I'm the opposite of that. You do see, we were just talking about it. You do see toughness. These guys are not out there playing buttery soft football. They just haven't executed plays. I hate to say that. It sounds stupid as hell. But I see a lot of, there's guys maybe played like crap, like Gray and some others, man. But you watch some of these guys, Mike, they're dialed in, man. Derby Lambert, I thought, made the biggest improvement from game 1 to 2. Totally noticeable watching the film. His improvement, the Wagner and Knapp, huge improvement. Hell, how can you not improve after game 1, right? But monster improvements. Ashton Craig keeps getting better. And then the tough guy act, I'm one of those guys like, let's just play. Maybe it was a thing. Is that a Freeman? Was like, hey, let's send a message. Let's get hyped. He did it last year, remember, coming out of the tunnel. Maybe Freeman doesn't like A&M for some reason, and that's his thing the last 2 years. Who knows? Yeah,
I don't hate the chirpiness before the game. I really don't. You'll end up losing the game.
I was going to say Florida and LSU did it. It happens.
I'm telling you, if you guys go back and rewatch the actual TV copy, there's a point in the game where you're like, how did we lose this thing? I mean, I remember on the Patreon chat, right? There's a fun little, chat feature. It's like a text thread basically, but people are like, this feels like an ass whooping, boys. Like it felt like we were going to whoop their ass, and somehow we gave it away. I mean, they had 13 penalties, Tim. I can't believe we lost the game. I just can't believe it. But anyways, moving on. After 2 consecutive losses, the way the defense played, if you were coach, how long of a leash would you give Chris Ash? So that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about, Tim, in terms of if you're going to tweak some things, and Freeman's co-signing everything, but it's like, yeah, maybe we shave off 10, 15% of zone coverage. And in those scenarios, we're going to try to heat up a quarterback and just play man.
Marcus Freeman hired him. Is Marcus Freeman going to admit failure after 2 games? No. I would be stunned if we show up tomorrow and there's a change. I would be absolutely stunned. So that's going to be Marcus Freeman and Chris Ash and the same 3 assistants that have been with them the last couple of years. That's got to be those guys trying to figure this out. And I truly believe it's about communication. There's something not being communicated somewhere, somehow. But I hate to say that because that is PTSD for all those guys that were around in 14, 15, and 16, because that was the thing that came out after 2016 was the communication issues with Brian Van Gordon. Is that happening again? It's communication. Something's getting lost in translation, right, between Monday and kickoff.
It is, yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned communication because we tend to think of down to down in game, right, getting everybody lined up. You said something earlier in the show about where it's like, yeah, we're not even great in man coverage, right? And for the longest time, that was just an absolute given. Whereas, and Tim, you understand like the pecking order in terms of head coach, defensive coordinator, position coach. Whereas if Chris Ash comes in and says, hey, Mickens, I want to play man this way, or I want to switch up this technique or this footwork or whatever is the case, Mickens has to follow suit because that's the way football works. There's a chain of command. But yeah, there's absolutely a disconnect. I agree. All the guys on D came back and you tell me they all regressed. Yeah, I mean, you gotta factor in too, Tim. I mean, we've lost 2 games by a handful of points, and we played 2 really good teams.
I know, and you don't want to say that as an excuse because number one, I'm trying not to because this is Notre Dame football. It's year 4. Your program is elevated. It's moving forward. You've done that experience. You played the Buckeyes last year for the title. You had the big games in the playoffs. So playing ranked games, this is Notre Dame football. This is what Notre Dame football is about, is playing big games, big moments. It's the history of the program. This is exactly what they do. And they've lost 3 in a row now. So something's got to give.
Did any player not regress? I mean, KVA is the first name that comes out. I think Burnham's been solid, but he was hurt this week. I don't think Rubio is. I mean, all of the regression is on the back end.
It's the back end
to me, and maybe not more. I mean, Moore's interception was clinic film.
Moore's been out. I mean, Moore got beat a couple times, just giving up some good stop routes that Miami drew up against him. Moore's been solid. Kingston, it is. I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again, man. You just watch him. He's got Buckus Award nominee level skills to where he could easily be a finalist for that award down the road. He's the only one, I hate these, that knows how to fit in between little gaps and seams. Even there's a couple where he's getting flatbacked, but he's in the pit filling the guy's 355 pounds. Of course you're going to get pancaked. You've been pancaked on ISO blocks, but you're in your damn gap. No one got into Kingston's gap. So, dude, even when he's getting blocked, he's making an insane effort towards the ball. So I love
and this goes back to and this is important about the whiteboard scenario. The playbook says I need to be here, right? I'm a robot. I'm going to fit. And I try to say this stuff, Tim, so I had almost 100 tackles as a Mike, and my job in that era was to spill the ball to the Will, spill the ball to the Zibby or the strong safety. I'm not even supposed to be the free hitter or make the tackle. You can fill and you can engage with blockers and shocker everybody, make them effing play too.
Yep.
And that's what you see with Kingston. He's like, I'm going to fill and I'm going to try to get a piece of the runner versus a lot of times we're filling and we're just getting ushered out of the play. It's like, I did my box. I'm going to get a plus on my call sheet or on my film review, but like also go try to get the ball carrier down. You can do both.
No, exactly. I mean, he fills, he does it. It's noticeable. Go back and watch the couple 10-yard runs that they gave up and see who's in there. It's been like that for the last 2 games. I know, people are like, oh, Drake Bowen, a big hit. Yeah, it's 10 yards down the field. Big deal. They got a first down, so he got a big hit on someone. He got a big hit on the sideline. Luckily, that wasn't 15 yards. So, yeah, I mean, Drake is
I can't wait. Tim and I are going to we're going to do the defensive film. It's Tim's show. I'm just there to kind of add some commentary. But like run fits are so freaking easy. And it's like, okay, if KVA's filling Osbury, you got to cross the center's face. Like you got to get there. Right. So it's like, cause sometimes you're saying, who's the free hitter? It's like, you got to get there. You just have to go. When we're talking about whether it's Snead or Drake or whatever, like you have to go.
I know.
You got to go. Anyway, how can they play so well at the end of the season and in the playoffs, all the injuries, blah, blah, blah. Easiest answer, lazy answer, Xavier Watts, Kaiser.
Yes.
I mean, Kaiser, God, what was the play? Was it Ohio State? They leaked that running back out, or was it Watts tried to make a play? I mean, those two guys Xavier Watts is a very, very special player for us. And
and Kaiser's smart as could be, and 6-year and a 5th-year guy. Those guys are gone. And that's something I'm going to throw on this is Notre Dame fans, Notre Dame fandom. Man, so many on the shows I did all off season is like, just assume. You can't assume anything. You just can't. Everyone just assumed these guys were going to do this or that or that. Man, all that carries over are the minutes that you earned last year, but filling the stats, making plays, you got to do it again. And right now they just have it against 2 ranked teams.
Yeah. And that's always been a leadership thing to me where it's like, okay, there comes a point in time in every single game where somebody has to insert themselves into the game where it's like, you've seen Love try to do it. Fields has done it. Faison's done it. But we're talking about second half defensive football. It's like, who's the guy that's going to go, get that sack or get that knockout or whatever. And we haven't quite seen it.
They had a few shots. Hobbs could have picked the ball off with 2 plays earlier. It's right there in the back of the end zone. It's like, bam, and we'd be celebrating a 40-34 win or get this pick or that, or don't get the freaking holding penalty. Don't call a timeout, Marcus Freeman, to allow them to relax and regroup. Make them feel the pressure on 4th and goal from the 11 or 12. And so many of those things added up at the end.
Great question. There's all these what ifs. Would you rather go 0-2 like we've done or lose to NIU? I mean, the 0-2 thing it really hurts. And sometimes when you get into rankings later on in the season, early season losses they go off into the ether. Maybe we can hope that happens. But we'll see. And then this is the other thing too, with Schuler getting that targeting call, and you could debate it, whatever. Tay Johnson's going to get a lot more reps in practice too.
Oh, and he should be starting.
He can run. I think he wants to be great. And Tim, the body, I mean, he's almost built like a linebacker, but runs like a corner, you could get him and Osbury confused just in terms of he's so thick in his lower half. I mean, he's a stud, dude. He's a stud.
Yeah. I mean, losing you're right. Basically a couple plays the first 2 games of the year, but you still lost him. You are who you are. This is Notre Dame. This is an independent. People are like, well, I want to open up with cupcakes. It's hard at Notre Dame to open up with cupcakes because you are relying on all the other conferences and building schedules with those teams. That's just the price of playing at Notre Dame. So it is what it is. And guess what? They're going to have a hard-ass game next year to open the season. Then they got to go to Lambeau and play Wisconsin. I think that's next year. So, they're not going to have a cupcake. I saw a tweet today. Freeman's 4 home openers, he's 1-3. The only one he beat is Tennessee State. So it's like, get an FCS on that schedule.
That's tough. What's the record of Al Golden is leading the defense?
Great question.
I mean, you're probably 2-0. I mean, you would have had, you certainly have more turnovers, get the ball back to the offense for sure.
But that's what kills me real quick because he's such a man guy. They're still getting beat in man. All the big plays this year in the 2 games are not they're man.
Well, Tim, you really.
It's like it's man defense. You're still getting beat in your base.
I love what you brought up about the lack of communication, and we're not talking in game. We're talking about throughout the course of the week. So I'm going to do a little sniffing around and see if I can't figure out did Golden give Mickens carte blanche, like, coach it however you want? Does Ash have input because he's been a secondary coach in a prior previous life? So is he asking Mickens to adjust things? So I'm going to sniff around and try to get a good answer. Hobbs looks slow, awful, whatever. Hobbs looks a lot like Jaden Mickey to me. And when you see Hobbs run full out, he gets real stiff.
He's up
like
high,
his upper body's super stiff. I don't love it. I love the way Mark Zachary moves around. The little couple clips that we've got, he moves correctly in terms of the biomechanics. Hobbs not so much.
Yeah, and that's obviously Smith had the injury, so he couldn't play. But there's Hobbs, redshirt Frosh, no experience. He's out there running around with his life, chasing these NFL wide receivers. So welcome to college football.
That's in that nickel. But we've been spoiled as fans, even going back to Tariq Bracy. We've been spoiled.
Bracy, the Oklahoma State, Harper. Obviously, Clark could run with anybody. He was I think the unsung hero of last year's team. That dude could run with anyone on the football field. And this year, I mean, out of all the positions all over the football field, the first 2 games, that nickel has gotten killed. 2 games in a row.
What do you see in footwork, hands? And we'll get into this on the film, John. I know John Massey's, he's behind the paywall that they can't win. I think I touched on this earlier in the show, Tim. It's just in terms of the initial, and I love doing coaching edge stuff. I love it. The initial get off isn't there. It's like hike, and they start dancing.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Dude, go.
I save this because I have some thoughts, and we'll dive into this week together.
Perfect. That's what the film's for. Did they overestimate the talent on the D-line? That's a fair question in terms of we should, Tim. We should be able to get home with 4. It's like, well, newsflash, gang. We can't.
We heard it during camp. We've heard it after 2 games. We got to get there with 4. You don't have to. You don't have to. So there's no rule that says you can only rush 4. Beat their ass. And then you see these stats that PFF puts out, and you see them on Twitter. Clark is like 30%, and the havoc rate, his pressure is like crazy when 5 or more heat his ass. That's what kills me. So is the analytics guy? Does he what's his name? Anthony Tresh? Does he have a buddy working to him? Does he have an assistant to the assistant? Right. So is he getting help in the games that's showing this? Hey, Ash, hey, Mickens, hey, Washington, Bulla, when you guys are heating, man, he can't feel it, or he's feeling the shit. And what happens in the last play? You run a spy. It's basically a drop 8 concept, and he scores a touchdown to win the game. There's no pressure on him.
Carr, have you heard about this, Tim? With Carr's feet? Have you heard about this? Pete Sampson tweeted something. It's noticeable. You see it on the film. And this is one of these things too, where it's like we're all Notre Dame fans. So if you saw that, or me and Jared seen that, like you can't put that out publicly, right? Because that's going to hurt your.
Now it's on Twitter, and that's a coaching mechanic thing. It's like, is that something that has just gotten slip, or is that, or are they working him and trying to coach his butt off so damn much he just keeps going back to high school routine? I don't know. I
don't know. We'll look at it. But yeah, staggered stance, pass, square feet, run. We'll see.
But real quick off of that goes back to the Tim Hyde frustration of what did they do with CJ Carr and Kenny Minchie last year? That's where I just felt where they wasted on scout offense for an entire season to prepare for this moment. So talked about that all off season. It just drove me nuts. It was
definitely you're talking about a couple thousand reps, several
Yeah.
hundred reps wasted on an Angeli where you could have been grooming CJ and or Kenny. Yeah, I mean, it's inarguable. It's another one of those things. It's inarguable, but that's the past is the past. But Tim, you said you wanted to go an hour.
We did 75. There you go.
So if you're on Patreon, Jared and Tim have the film, so expect that to roll out the next 24, 36 hours. We'll see you on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, wide open chat. Anybody that's joined, thrilled that you've done so. Hopefully you stick around, trying to do things a little bit different, and give you as many answers as possible, Yeah. So, yeah, Tim, I appreciate you.
No, it's fun. We'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see you next Sunday. Mark it down. Is it always going to be 6 o'clock Central Time, Tim?
I mean, let's just set this as a routine. This is going to be our Sunday night show. You and I get together to rehash a few talking points from Saturday night, and let's just get this thing rolling.
Love it, Tim. Thanks, buddy.
You got it.